Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, the dispute over gender pronouns.
I don't identify exclusively with being a man or a woman. I use they and them as my pronouns.
You don't get your own pronouns.
You think it's a delusion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel, The Blind Followers. Yes, The Blind Followers. So as you can see, we have been reacting to What is a Woman by Matt Walsh. And today, we're going to be going through this Dr. Phil's show. So without no wasting much of your time, let's dive into it and see for ourselves. Let's go.
A kindergarten teacher is facing outrage after discussing gender identity with her students.
The kindergartners came home very confused about whether or not you can pick your gender, whether or not they really were a boy or a girl.
Many parents say they feel betrayed and blindsided.
I want her to hear from me as a parent what her gender identity means to her. My daughter went home crying, shaking, so afraid that she could turn into a boy.
Well, there's no denying it. Gender pronouns are a big topic of conversation that cannot and should not be ignored. And my first guests, Addison and Ethan, have a lot to say.
I'm Addison.
And I'm Ethan.
We've been together for about
5 years.
And married
for 3 years.
I use they, them pronouns. Being non-binary just means that I just don't identify with the gender I was assigned at birth, and I don't identify exclusively with being a man or a woman. I'm something in between, outside of that binary.
My pronouns are he or they. I also identify as a non-binary. To me, being a non-binary means having the sense of freedom to explore my gender in whichever way I want. I don't have to perform or pretend to be someone that I'm not. I can be my authentic self.
It's really important for us to share more information with people because people are curious, they want to understand, but sometimes they don't always have the opportunities to do that.
Welcome.
Hi.
You were watching the tape piece, right? Mm-hmm. This is a hot topic.
Yes.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is it a good thing?
I guess because it creates dialogue and it invites conversation to learn about other people.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are really confused about gender identity in these times, and it's good for us to have these conversations so people open their minds and relearn and unlearn to what we've been taught.
Right.
I really don't understand where these people saying that people are confused. Is it people that are confused, or is both of you that are confused? Because, like, with what I'm seeing here, it is two of you that are confused, not people. What do you mean by gender? Or people are confused about gender. Like, what do you mean by that? Gender is simple. People know they are women and they are men. They are boys and girls. So there's nobody that is confused here. It is you that is confused. It is you that is delusional and trying to put other people in your shoes. And in America, they are giving you guys the opportunity to do so, which is crazy.
And Addison, many people think gender pronouns are exclusive to the LGBTQ plus community, but that's a misconception, true?
Yeah. Well, everybody has pronouns. Like, you may use he and him as your pronouns, right? I use they and them as my pronouns. We all may have a certain gender pronoun too, but I think it's important for people to understand that for trans and non-binary people, we often change our pronouns to reflect who we are when we come out and be who we are.
Man, these people are crazy, you know. These people are really bunch of confusion, you know. So so now people can just sit down and decide to change their pronouns to they and whatever. Come on, you cannot tell the English people how to use their language. You know, this language belongs to a particular group of people, and not because the language is being spoken all over the world today, so it does not have its origin or so. There are people who own this language and they know what it means when they say they and he or she. So you cannot just stand up from nowhere and say now you're changing the terms of their language meanings and all that. Like they, oh man.
Between sex and gender.
I consider sex to be our biological makeup. Our chromosomes, our hormones, our genitals is a biological makeup. But our gender is more of an internal sense. So think of it like this. Sex is what's between the legs, and gender is what's between the ears, right? It's how we see ourselves on the inside.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Should we take biology and throw it out of the window, and then how do human beings care for ourselves? Like if you go to the hospital, if they want to treat you, if they want to administer any treatment on you or whatever, non-binary, whatever you're claiming right now, or people you're trying to say you're trans, maybe you go through medical transition, you still need the help of the same biology that you're talking about, the same biology you're trying to throw off the window that is now is useless, is meaningless. You see, you the same. They see you through biology. That is only way you can get this your whatever trans whatever done. You know. So you guys are really confused.
And that's something somebody can't know. Gender is something somebody can't know just by looking at somebody.
Nope, yeah. Because everyone is going to present and express themselves in a different way. I know, it's very confusing, right? Everyone's like, what is going on?
What do you mean it's very confusing? It is not confusing. We know there are two gender on this earth. Even in the animal kingdom, in the human world, we're just two. Men and women, male and female. What are you saying? What do you mean it's confusing? There's nothing confusing. You're saying it's confusing because look at your face. Look at your face, look at your hair, look at your structure. It is you that looks confused. In fact, you look abnormal, you know?
You know, about us breaking that assumption that we can tell someone's identity, someone's story, their pronouns, even their name, just based on how they look, right?
Yeah. And so how does someone ask? How does somebody clarify that? Ethan, what's the best way? What's the most comfortable way?
I think for me, to create a safe space for people to share their pronouns, I will say, hi, my name is Ethan. I use he or they pronouns. What about you?
I think it's really important for us to recognize other people's pronouns because, again, we can't make that assumption. But for so many people who are cisgender, meaning that you do identify with the gender that you were assigned at birth, you're not transgender or not non-binary, I think a lot of people don't even question their pronouns because we already use them and it's already assumed correctly. But for so many trans and non-binary people, that isn't often assumed correctly. So we need to take the time to get to know people.
Cisgender.
Oh man, people, like what I'm seeing here right now is this non-binary and these transgender people, these people are really confused in terms of mental. They're mentally sick, and instead of their family or the society where they are to acknowledge that and let them understand that you guys are not okay. It is normal that fine that you're suffering from mental illness, but we are here with you. We're going to give you the necessary support that you needed. Maybe like send you guys to a psychiatric home and then take your medicine, receive treatment and get better. We're going to be here with you guys. They gave them a different direction. Instead of doing what they're supposed to do, they give them a different direction. Oh, it's okay, you're sick, but they don't even let them know that they are sick. You just say, oh, yeah, they know these people, they are not okay. But they just give them a free hand. You're fine, go ahead. Do whatever you want to do. We applaud you. We are here by you. We will give you more support to continue your illness and expand your territory, and even take some of our people who are in the normal world to the abnormal world. And then they are clapping for them, which is madness. It's totally madness, you know. And this is what America is becoming, and this is the kind of lifestyle they are expecting the other part of the world to respect them and just flow with them. This cannot work, and it's not going to work. You guys can continue doing this in America, but don't just take him to Africa too.
It says adjective that describes a person whose gender identity matches or aligns with the gender he or she was assigned at birth. Now, this would be what has been traditional for centuries, right? Why does it need a term?
You know, if we don't use that term, then we end up saying maybe real men or normal men or regular men, right? Or we just say men, and then we say maybe transgender men, right? And the thing is that we need to realize that trans women are women, trans men are men too. And so we just want to have a term for that privilege, that assumption that your gender identity is going to match the one that you were assigned at birth.
Oh man, like as I said, like these people are really sick. Yeah, they're really sick and they need a medical attention. These people are supposed to be in the psychiatric and taken care of, you know, not walking around here acting that they are normal, you know. You know, these days there are so many mad people walking around parading themselves as normal, and all you see they do is chaos. You know, these people are causing chaos. This is what happens when you allow mad people to roam around this society and try to claim that they are normal, you know? Because how can you say that now gender is just, it's something that has no definition now, you know? Anybody can just decide anything, like, and like according to them, it will grow continuously, you know? People can just decide to change whatever they are or whatever. Come on, man. In society where you are trying to make every normal thing become abnormal, you're trying to change the narrative of the normality. That would be a disaster. It's like you say now everybody should start going to work at night, and then daytime we go to bed. That is the new norm. That is what you're trying to say, which is it's crazy. Yes.
Not every transgender person chooses to medically transition. For me, I chose to medically transition to feel comfortable in my own skin.
Mm-hmm. And this is different from, you know, being non-binary and stuff too, because for many non-binary people, they might identify as trans because they don't identify with that gender assigned at birth.
Right.
But for a lot of non-binary people, it means that you just don't exclusively identify as a man or woman. And under that, there's a whole umbrella of gender identities where people might have pronouns that change day to day. There might be people who have one set of pronouns for the rest of their life. You might have non-binary people too who are fluid with their gender identities in itself. It's very confusing, very nuanced, but I think that what...
You see? Every time they always use the word. It's very confusing. It's nuanced. It's confusing. Man, it's not confusing. You are saying that it's confusing because you are confused. You are a walking confusion. That is why you're thinking that everyone around the world is as confused as you. There is nothing that is confusing. Like you're saying, gender assigned to you by birth, and now you've grown, so you have to change it. Why don't you stop walking with your foot and start walking with your hands? You know? So that we know that, okay, fine, when you're growing up, they thought you had to crawl and walk, and now you've changed it to be a whatever, non-binary. Then you should also change the way you, like, what you eat, how you walk. Like, stop using your foot and switch to hand. So that we know that, okay, fine, now these people who claim themselves that they are non-binary, this is how they do. Yeah. So you can go and create a new community for you people where people walk with hands, not with foot. And you add all sorts of abnormality. God.
You were talking about earlier with it being that maybe traditionally, for centuries, people have identified with maybe the gender that they were assigned at birth. When we look at history, and we look at cultures too around the world, we see that third, fourth, fifth genders have always been around. And then in different cultures, the idea of what gender is or a relation to our bodies is completely different than maybe here in the United States.
I have a gender pronoun chart that I got really confused about, and I'm just admitting straight up, this chart, I didn't know how to use the chart, and we don't need to go through the whole thing, but there were, like, just using co.
Not all these pronouns, I think, I even recognize too, which is okay. right? I think at the end of the day, too, people will have different pronouns beyond he or she or even they, which, I use in a singular context for myself. But as you can see, there's an ongoing evolution of language and how people can identify. If you're unsure how to use someone's pronouns after that person has disclosed what their pronouns are, just ask, clarify. I just want to make sure that I'm using...
God, ongoing evolution of language and gender, so which means this thing is not going to end here. It's going to be growing from one step to another, you see. If you people are hoping to lay such a foundation of something like gender that has no boundary, like from time to time different people will be coming up with different names and pronouns. If this continue, which means the whole world is will collapse. So like these people allow these people to walk around the street and influence others with this kind of mindset and illness. Man, this is gonna be a chaos. Anyway, fams, so this is where we're gonna draw the curtain for this one today. So like to follow up, and the next one will be coming up. We include mouthwash on the debate, because this clip is already too long and I don't want to bore you guys with a long clip. So try to hang on and watch out for the next clip. So see you. Peace out.